do the Macarena and you win.
Y'all good?
Yeah.
Darius, just talk about the team's mindset. Played well in the second half, came up a little bit short. How have you guys bounced back?
Yeah, it's a lot to pick up off of. There's a lot of good things that happen in that second half, and it's promising going into week 2. But 24-hour rule. We're done with that game, learned from it, and we're on to Campbell this week.
Your first start at center here. Just how was that experience? How much do you feel like you grew from the game?
Yeah, honestly, I felt like I grew a lot. It's a lot different. From a communication standpoint, and kind of like leading all the guys together. But I felt like I, got comfortable in that role as the game went on, and I've, put a lot of work in since start of the spring. So I feel like I've gained a lot with that first game.
What do you think the biggest difference was from the first half to the second half when you guys started getting rolling?
Honestly, it was just like Zay talked about, just Pirates not beating Pirates. We made a lot of like mental errors, little mistakes in that first half, and we kind of picked it up and cleaned it up a little bit going into that second half. Still a lot of things we can pick up, but definitely in that first half, it was a lot of mental and little errors.
When you watch the film, what do you think needs to be fixed to open up the run game a bit more?
Honestly, again, like I said, there's little mistakes that we make, little technique, fundamental errors, and kind of just working as a unit. O-line especially, we really have to be on the same page, whether that's with our spots, IDs, and again, technique fundamentals. So really, that's a big emphasis for us this week, is just making sure we're all on the same page and keeping the technique refined.
I think third and fourth down, you guys were like 7 of 20 overall. I mean, what do you think were kind of the biggest issues on those downs for you guys?
Again, like I just mentioned, there was a lot of errors. Defense is kind of heated up on those downs, and making sure we're keyed into knowing the situation, knowing what we got to do, and just coming off the rock. That's a big thing as well. And I feel like that we'll clean that up this week going into next week.
In terms of, the tough start in the first and second quarter, then you guys picked it up. How vocal or what leadership qualities were you seeing out of Caton to keep you guys all together and locked in?
Yeah, Caton's a big role in that. One thing about him, he's always cool, and he never really gets rattled, and that was big going into the second half. It's easy for teams to kind of be in that situation and kind of lose all hope, sort of, and he was big in, keeping us all encouraged and keeping cool and being his regular self, which is just Caton Hauser.
For you, when you play center, I guess you got to naturally be a leader. So is that something you have naturally? Do you have to take that on? How has that process been?
I feel as from a football standpoint, I do like being I like making the calls and things of that sort. But the leadership role, that's been something I've been working on throughout the summer. Just getting guys together to do extra stuff or just being more vocal in general. That's always something I'm looking to improve.
In an environment like that, how is the communication up front, do you think?
Yeah, they have a good environment. It's loud in there, but during practice last week, we had the speakers blasting, so we were preparing for, the loud, having to be vocal, having to be loud, and I feel like it wasn't that big of an issue in the game, and I felt like we were okay in that standpoint.
What's it going to be like running back out, or running out, I guess, for the first time for you on Saturday here at Dowdy Ficklin?
Well, it's crazy and Dowdy, There's no environment at this level like it. It's crazy, and I can't wait.
Just curious, how much communication goes on up front, because we hear about it.
Yeah.
Before the snap, you guys are trying to ID everything.
Yeah.
Just how much goes into that?
I can run you through it a little bit. So before each play, you got to ID the front, and then you got to ID the which linebacker is our ID in that, and then we have combo calls, or if it's pass, we have slide protection calls and that sort of thing. And if we can, if we see if they're bringing certain blitzes, if certain things we recognize, we can call that out to each other, just kind of give an alert and that sort of stuff before play.
Obviously, you want to win the football game, but late in the game, you guys were able to break out some longer runs off. It seems like you guys are doing a better job getting to that second level. Does that give you guys just more motivation and more self-belief going into game 2 after kind of a shaky start in the run game?
Absolutely. It's kind of a teaser, We had wished, obviously, that we had started that way, but now we see what we can do, and it's just something we can build off of, and definitely something we're excited for going into Campbell.
Kind of unique, y'all are going against Cam Durant. He was here in the spring. Do you try to not talk to him leading up to the game? How does that go?
I wouldn't say necessarily not talk to him, but again, they're our opponent, and it's just one more team in the way of our goals.
Thank you.